This hurricane season has been extremely weird, and it's about to get even weirder. One of the weird things about this season was the insanely quiet August. Thanks to a hostile environment in the central Atlantic, systems that were trying to become tropical storms died off quickly, leading to one of the most inactive periods of tropical weather during a season in recorded history. Also, very weirdly, the first hurricane of this year didn't happen until September 1st. Almost as if it was purposefully waiting for August to end, Hurricane Danielle snapped the streak. What's even weirder was where Hurricane Danielle formed. This was among the farthest northeast a system has ever become a hurricane since 1950. And the weirdest thing of all is this all happened during La Nina. Hurricane seasons during La Nina tend to be active more often than not. I, along with the majority of other meteorologists in the field, believed that this was going to be another above average season just like the past 2 years. This was mainly because, just like the past 2 years, we were in a La Nina pattern, and this usually decreases wind shear in the Caribbean Sea and adjacent areas of the Atlantic Basin, leading to more hurricanes. But this year it seems like we were dead wrong, son. Stubborn little tuts, or tropical upper tropospheric troughs, have been enough to keep the wind shear at levels high enough to tear apart any developing storms. And if this continues, I'll be the first to admit that I was very wrong, but it's important to remember that we're still in hurricane season and there will be more storms. In fact, right now we have a big, crucial area to watch for the very near future. The National Hurricane Center has a 70% chance of cyclone formation out here, about 800 miles to the east of the Lesser Antilles. Hold up, we just got an update from the National Hurricane Center saying that this is now officially Tropical Depression 7, and it does look like it is going to become a tropical storm. Keep in mind, if this does become a tropical storm or hurricane, it's going to be named Fiona. Here's a look at the latest satellite imagery, and here's what the National Hurricane Center has to say about this. Now, it's important to know that none of this changes anything else about the rest of the video. I just wanted to throw this in here so that it's not irrelevant. And although conditions are only marginal for tropical development out here right now, this thing's already so close to being a tropical depression that it's only going to take like a 5% increase of intensity for it to actually become one. You can see that this thing looks pretty angry right now as it starts to curl up and begins to take on the presentation of a traditional tropical system. As of right now, we do believe it's going to continue west towards Puerto Rico and then maybe even eventually into our Gulf of Mexico or the East Coast. But what do the forecast models say? Let's take a look at the Canadian model, which has continuously been the most bullish on this system. We got to come all the way out to September 18th to start seeing it. Watch it come up there by Cuba. It starts to get really organized south of Florida. And then once it gets into the Gulf of Mexico, it really starts blowing up into a hurricane, potentially a strong one, as it goes right into southeastern Texas. Now, this is not what's going to happen. It's just one model run out of thousands that we will see before we finally get to the finish line. Another very real possibility is something that we can see here on the Euro model. Check it out. We're looking at September 19th. We still got that storm down there, but watch it go north of Cuba, north of most of the Bahamas, and then curl out to sea away from anybody. And then, of course, if we look at the spaghetti plots on the Canadian model, you can see all the different variations here of what could happen. Of course, there are some that are saying it could go up out to sea, but the majority here, especially on the Canadian, are showing this going into the Gulf, which would mean potentially a hurricane for somebody watching this video. But of course, as always, we have to take these forecast models with a grain of salt right now because we're still kind of far out from a landfalling hurricane. And you know I'm going to be watching it, and your local National Weather Service is going to be watching it, so let's not freak out just yet, and let's look at all the data, and I'll keep you updated as we go forward. If this thing does become a hurricane and it starts heading up towards the US, I do have a message for you today. If you're a school, a hospital, emergency management center, a police station, a fire department, whatever it is, or if you know somebody that works or volunteers at one of those places, please listen to my message here. And it's all on behalf of today's sponsor, CyclonePort, the best weather surveillance solution. Are you or someone you know involved in emergency management, utility work, media, or commercial and residential development? Well, you need a weather surveillance network, and thanks to Radar Omega and CyclonePort, it's never been easier to set one up. With live HD remote control pan-tilt zoom cameras, rapidly updating weather sensors, and easily accessible archives, CyclonePort can make any office, home, or command center the most weather-ready entity you could possibly imagine. CyclonePort has already helped several EMAs with their weather surveillance and is currently in the process of expanding their network through larger areas. The best part is anybody with the Radar Omega app can view these sites if you so choose, so if you're curious about what it looks like, go in the app and check it out. I personally believe this is the future. Every emergency command center center, every hospital, every fire department, police station, school, every community should be looking into this. And if you make your data public on the app, it helps me with my live coverage of severe weather here on YouTube. So head on over to cycloneport.com. I've got a link in the description. They know way more about this stuff than me, and you can talk to somebody over there about what to do next. I promise you, your community is going to be thankful for this investment. Now, let's get back into the video. What the heck is even going on with this year's hurricane season? Why is it so quiet? Obviously, there's only one explanation, and I'm the only one that's willing to come out and actually talk about this. Aliens. Not really, at least I don't think so. There's actually just been a few pesky ingredients that are just not lining up right. And a wise man once said, you can't bake a cake with only 3 out of the 4 ingredients. Or something. The main ingredients for hurricane formation and maintenance are warm surface waters, low vertical wind shear, ample atmospheric moisture, and a wave or low pressure system to start kicking up rising air. We have warm enough surface waters right now, and there's been periods of low wind shear. And Africa has been pumping out plenty of waves, so what are we missing out on? Well, moisture, especially in the middle levels of the atmosphere. One reason for this could be that the Intertropical Convergence Zone, or ITCZ for short, has been abnormally located to the south for some reason. Additionally, the African monsoon trough has been further north than normal. This is another weird thing that's just not quite explainable, and it's led to tons of dry Saharan air over the main development region. The main thing is, even though we've got a ton of storms that have tried to form, they're all being suppressed by this dry air, and that's why we don't have a hurricane cake or whatever. So the question now is, will this pattern stay? What's going to happen going forward? Well, we don't know exactly why the ITCZ is a bit suppressed to the south, so we can't make an accurate prediction as to whether or not it's going to move north in the near future. If it does, we are likely going to see a big enhancement of moisture over the main development region, which could lead to the development of more big storms. But like I've said throughout this entire video, this season's been really weird, and outside of the tropical disturbance that's forming right now, we have no clue what could happen as we go into the future. The fact of the matter is that we still have a couple months left in hurricane season, and it only takes one storm to make a huge impact. Should any storms become well organized due to the warm water temperatures, they could pack a punch. Now's the time to go over and revamp your hurricane preparedness program despite the forecast, especially if you live along the coast. You're going to want to go ahead and plan your evacuation route and have an alternative route just in case. Don't forget your pets. Make sure you have at least 5 days worth of food and water for them. Put together an emergency kit that includes bottled water, flashlights, first aid, blankets, and jumper cables. And make sure your vehicle maintains at least a half a tank of gas at all times. And then, although it's very unlikely, if that big nasty storm does come for you, you're not going to be scared. You're going to be prepared. A huge shout out to all of our members over here. Thank you so much for being a big part of the channel. We're going to do another members only live stream soon. We're building out the new live stream setup here on the studio. Hopefully we don't get any hurricanes this year, but if we do, you guys are going to be able to help me build out how we're going to display the scenes, how the radar is going to look, and everything. It's been really fun so far, so we're going to do that again tonight or tomorrow. Just make sure you're a member and have notifications on. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye. Whoop.